Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Hide and Seek Media. If this is your first video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified anytime I put up a new video. And if you have something to say, make sure to drop a comment. And if you like my content, make sure to share this video. Today's video, we're going to be getting into, this is going to be part 2 of the Absolute Proof documentary that Mike Lindell put out. I'm just going to kind of go over some of it and how this election was manipulated and how no one is listening to the evidence that's out there. So let's get into it.
And now we have with us Colonel Phil Waldron.
Yeah, so my background in the military is with influence operations, information operations, information warfare, if you will.
You know, what we're talking about here today is specific, these machines that were used to hack into our election and by foreign countries, including China. And what did you kind of bring us up through the election for yourself, and then how you've gotten so involved right now?
Yeah, we began looking, working with our partners in Dallas at Allied Security Operations Group, with doing some analysis on the data that they had, looking at not only Dominion, but ES&S and HART, several of the other electronic voting management systems. And we saw a lot of similarities and vulnerabilities in the systems that would be easily influenceable or easily interdicted. And again, as an information warfare officer, that's what I did. I looked for vulnerabilities and ways to attack systems to create a strategic advantage for U.S. friendly forces. And so when we started seeing the vulnerabilities and all the different ways that you could interdict these electronic voting systems, it became apparent that we had a problem for the November 3rd election.
You know, this group that did the audit of those machines, you know, they also did audits of machines in Texas, where they're from, you know, in Dallas. And when they found evidence of, you know, manipulation, they contacted the DOJ, and the DOJ wasn't hearing it. Finally, they contacted the Department of Homeland Security in Austin. They listened to them and were able to listen, you know, look over the evidence. And, you know, what they found was initially what they found was that these machines were being manipulated.
And then I brought in our local DHS team here in Texas, both the Intelligence and Assessments Division, which collects intelligence for the Department of Homeland Security, and the CISA, our local CISA rep. And we spent quite a bit of time giving them an introduction to what we saw and the vulnerabilities and the ways that these systems could be interdicted to change election outcomes at, you know, the machine level, the server level, fraud at the local level, which, you know, is required to induce the illegitimate ballots. Right. Then you've got the machine level, which is kind of what you were talking about, the algorithms that are directly input into the tabulators, and we have evidence of that in Ware County, Georgia, that you know, X amount of ballots went through, and they basically stole 13% of the vote from President Trump and put that 13% of the vote into the category for former Vice President Biden, which made a 26% shift in the vote. And so when you look at the machine level, the machine for Dominion or ES&S, there are so many vulnerabilities in the systems. There are so many fundamental cybersecurity practices that are not enabled that it basically allows anybody who has some technical ability and the want to go and influence our elections. Wow. And sort of that strategic level is foreign intelligence services. And we've got pretty much documented Communist Chinese Party ownership of the private equity firm whose board controls Dominion. We've got Chinese communists, the president of the Chinese Communist Bank, who is a board of directors member of the private equity firm that owns Dominion. Wow. And then if you look at the testing company, the only company that has the access to the code and the testing for Dominion is in Shenzhen, China. It's a Communist Chinese Party company.
So, they this all really stems from Michigan, right? Michigan in Aitkin County, they were able to actually look at the Dominion voting machines in that county, and that's pretty much where all this kind of evidence kind of stems from. There's some that come from some machines in Texas that were done in some, elections there, but a lot of this comes from the Michigan report, and these people that they look, that did this stuff, that did the audits of these machines, they're trained professionals. I would have to listen to what they have to say, and the proof they found is pretty compelling. And the fact that no judge has really been willing to hear any of this is shocking, to say the least.
Like you mentioned something earlier, is the machines, ES&S and Dominion machines. If you look at military planning factors, they're critical capabilities. A capability is what you have to execute your mission, or the enemy has to execute its mission successfully. So a critical capability for any of this to happen are the inherent vulnerabilities that were built into ES&S and Dominion software, which is, we've proven through our work that this is all related directly back to the Smartmatic SGO Smartmatic software core.
Wow.
And they definitely have financial gains to financial reasons based on some of the other investments that they've made,
right.
Especially if they, looking down the road, if they make billions and billions of dollars, the board of SGO Smartmatic, because they own an air purification company. So just think about it. If you get to pick an administration that is favorable to your company, say they pass the Green New Deal, and you're going to make billions and billions of dollars off of government mandated air purification systems in public buildings and apartment buildings and industrial complexes, you would spend quite a bit of money on the front side to make sure the election was done. The same thing with China. If China could avoid the U.S. coming to Taiwan's defense, and we've seen indications of that already, and if China could avoid having to fight a campaign to protect their man-made islands, to extend their territorial waters into international navigable waterways, if they could invest $1 billion to do that versus fighting a war, well, they've made a pretty good investment. And
Right.
all the money that they've made into the Biden family, all the money that they've made and invested into U.S. universities and U.S. businesses, buying up our medical and our technical intellectual property, stealing a lot more than they bought. They are fighting a war, and people just don't realize that we're under attack.
You got this MIT professor, not professor, but MIT, scientist, genius level dude or whatever, who runs for Senate in Massachusetts, and all the Dominion machines turn out 60-40 in favor of his opponent. But the one county that counted it by hand, he won by 10%.
So now we have with us Dr. Shiva. He has 4 MIT degrees. He's an expert in system science and pattern analysis. And I met him 4 weeks ago, because I don't want him out there going, well, Mike, why didn't you bring this to us before? Well, I just met Dr. Shiva 4 weeks ago, and he's going to tell you, he actually ran for Senate, and he knows all about these machines now. And we're going to hear some of the stuff that I found out and went, wow, this is absolutely validates this election fraud with these machines. So go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. I'm glad we connected.
Yeah.
It's an interesting opportunity for me, Mike, because it's rare that a guy who's a scientist, an engineer, an MIT guy even runs for office.
Right.
And then it's even more rare that you come across something you never think occurs in the United States. I grew up in India and
Right.
third world countries. We talk about election fraud. When I was running in Massachusetts in 2020, we had 3,000 volunteers on the ground, 20,000 bumper stickers, 10,000 lawn signs, billboard ads, radio, TV, network. We were everywhere. The GOP establishment, who doesn't want a bottoms-up guy like me, who hated Trump, ran a no-name out there, who no real lawn signs, no bumper stickers, no organization, nothing.
Right.
And we knew on election night, which was a Republican primary, September 1st, 2020, the word landslide is what we heard everywhere. We knew
that you were going to win by landslide.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was obvious. I mean, we worked. I mean, and
I think you said unless there was election fraud. But
yeah.
But you probably thought that's just, you know, maybe someone put
yeah.
down two ballots.
One of my close friends said, "Shiva, we're going to win this unless there's election fraud," and I just thought this is just some fringe stuff, right?
Right. But
so
you weren't thinking about machines.
I wasn't thinking about machines because I didn't know that. You know, from creating email and all these systems, I know the power of machines.
Right. Oh, by the way, yeah, he created emails, right?
I did. I created email as a
creator of email. I just want to tell you, the guy's a genius. So what you're going to hear here, this is what I did my due diligence on. This is just one guy going, okay, is this real or is this not? And believe me, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a lot of history, not only in pattern analysis, system science,
right.
but I build large-scale computer systems. The stuff I've used has been used by the Senate, has been used by the largest Fortune 1000 companies in the world. So I know how you move from paper-based systems and electronic systems, and I know the power of electronic systems. When you put some process that's in electronic form, a single individual has immense amounts of power. So that's the background. But on September 1st, 2020, what we saw was we knew we'd won on a landslide.
Right.
And there we are with our big party set up, and we see the results coming in. Now in Massachusetts, we saw in Franklin County, which is 80 to 90% hand-counted paper ballots, no machines, I win by 10%. And in every other county, Mike, 60-40, 60-40, 60-40, 60-40.
That you lost by?
I lost by.
The exact percentage?
Exact percentage by a guy who was in a black county, this guy wins. In a white county, he wins. In a Hispanic county, the guy was nowhere.
By the same percentage.
But by the same percentage.
That's not only a deviation, but it's an anomaly.
It's an anomaly.
Do you think that's impossible, or you're like me?
Well, it's highly, to be from a scientific standpoint, you would say it's highly unlikely.
Right.
I started reading up everything I could. By September 9th, 8 days later, I found out something interesting. I found out that these electronic voting machines, remember there's two ways you can vote. One is you vote, you give a paper ballot, and the paper ballot is counted by human beings, two people. That's what occurred in Franklin County. But in those other counties, they take that paper ballot when you vote electronically.
Into a machine.
It goes into a machine. And what happens in that machine? The paper ballot is converted to an image called a ballot image. No different than you taking a picture with your iPhone. Now, so what is actually counted? The paper ballot gets put aside. The machine, the electronic, quote unquote, AI on the machine, actually tries to figure out where the circles are. And the machine is counting the ballot image. So at that point, I realized, oh my God, the ballot image is the ballot. The images are the ballot.
So you were going to get to the bottom of this no matter what.
No, I am. And I think we both sort of pursue the same aims. But here, what we found out was that the first thing that gave me a big insight is that ballot images are being created. And then I also found out by federal law, in 1974, they passed a law for federal elections, those ballot images must be saved. So that was one piece of the puzzle, okay? The other piece of the puzzle was I found out that the voting machines, as early as 2002, have a feature in there called a weighted race feature, where it's embedded into the system where you can multiply candidates' votes by a percentage. All right, so what that means is you get 1,000 votes, I get 1,000 votes. I can multiply your votes by 2, my votes by 0.5. And if anyone doesn't believe this, go look up the Diebold voting manual. Go to page 2-126 in the manual, in the 2002 version, and you'll see it in there.
Then the state of Massachusetts contacts Twitter to get this guy suspended or complain about him tweeting about it or whatever, and then they turn around and take his Twitter account down.
Remember, we have two cases. First, we basically went into court saying the Secretary of State contacted Twitter. That means Twitter takes orders from the government. This is what we showed. Twitter takes orders from the government.
That's proven. That's 100%.
Yes. It came out in 3 hours in testimony.
Jack Dorsey
took orders from the Secretary of State of Massachusetts. This is what happens in countries like China. The government tells the corporations what to do. And in the United States, what came out in our 3 hours of testimony where I represented myself, no one wanted to take the swamp on in Massachusetts. So what came out was we have the Secretary of State's, the election director and the communications officer saying they contacted Twitter to shut me down.
Is that still open? Is that still open?
Not only is it open, the judge gave me the restraining order and the case is open. And my other case to decertify, they try to apply a 100, 200 page motion to dismiss, and the judge denied their motion.
Wow.
And that means, look, MIT's in Massachusetts, right? There's a lot of computer people there.
Right.
No one has rebutted my mathematical explanation showing that they multiplied my votes by 0.666. So look, things the public needs to understand is federal laws, the Department of Justice is supposed to enforce them.
Right.
You know, when we found out the ballot images were deleted, we informed the, what's his name, Barr,
right.
and the local U.S. attorney, and they've done nothing.
Oh.
So basically, this is what happens in third world countries, right?
Right,
You have
right.
laws, but nothing's followed.
Right.
And if that's where we've gotten into, it's a serious problem for this country because
Well, it's
the
a
laws
series
don't
of
mean
problems.
anything.
Look, I don't think there was massive fraud across the entire country, okay? So there was no widespread voter fraud, okay? But there was voter fraud. There were votes changed electronically in machines. There were ballots that shouldn't have, they're mail-in ballots that shouldn't have been counted, okay? There were a lot of ballots that went into adjudication that shouldn't have been gone into adjudication. So there was fraud. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified anytime I put up a new video. If you like this content, make sure to smash that like button and share this video. The only way my content will get out there is if people like you share it. If you got a comment, make sure to drop it below, and I'll check y'all later. Peace.